with that, it's a brand new season of Sun Devil Extra. Braiden Bell alongside Graham Rossini, the athletic director here at Arizona State. And we welcome you inside Desert Financial Arena. The dust has settled in the offseason, if you will. First bad pun of the year.
Yeah.
Graham, how are you?
I'm good. Recovering from the haboob.
Yes.
Haboob season is back.
Well, and there was some excellent social media content put out from the haboob. It was on the Today Show this morning. It was on the ABC Morning News as well.
Got to be known for something.
Yeah, and it was a really good job. So shout out, I think it was Callum who put out that dust storm video from Mount America Stadium.
Yeah, Callum, and then Taylor's getting the shot, and the guy's laying on the line for good content.
I saw that and I said,
what the Sun Devils do, right?
I would have had the goggles. Unbelievable stuff. But the dust has settled from the storm, but there's a new storm brewing, and that, of course, is Saturday. Come on, man. I'm ready to go.
Mid-season form.
I'm ready to go.
We're 30 seconds in. He's primed and ready.
Number 11 Arizona State taking on NAU in the season opener in football Saturday, 7 o'clock, Mount America Stadium. I know there's been so much talk really over the past 7 months in preparation to this day. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes by players, staff, everyone here around Sun Devil Athletics. It's finally here and we're ready to go.
Yeah, we can't wait. I mean, it's the signal of the new year and a lot of excitement going into this year, what a difference a year makes, and couldn't be proud of our coaching staff for the team that they've built, the culture that they're building, the way that we're engaging this fan base and bringing new people in the conversation. Really excited to get going here on Saturday against NAU.
And I know Coach Dillingham has said this a lot throughout the offseason workouts and into preseason talk as well about how last year is last year and everyone's 0-0. And you had a similar message last week talking to the entire department before the season got going. But, you know, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to back it up. And Saturday is the start of trying to live up to that and starting fresh.
Yeah, no doubt. We're proud of the foundation that we started to build last year. I thought it was a good year in the Big 12. We really got on the radar of a lot of people and took a big step forward in terms of what we want to be as an athletic department, but by no means are we satisfied. And mentioned that to the group last week. We're not surrounded by a bunch of national championship trophies. We're proud of the Big 12 championships. We're proud of the Commissioner's Cup. That's a foundational part of what we're trying to build, but we've got our sights set higher. And I think as long as we keep this builder's mentality throughout the entire department, not just our coaches, not just our ticket sales, not just our leadership, but we got to show progression year over year, and we don't have enough to sustain what we've started to build, and so we've got to keep building a fan base. We've got to keep connecting, and we've got to rise to the moment because now we're in different conversations, and pressure is a privilege. I like to say that. I do believe it. I'd rather us have the weight of expectations on us, but we've got to be realistic that we're nowhere where we want to be yet. We want to keep progressing, keep building, keep connecting, all in the spirit of building a better brand of an athletic department, instilling confidence and creating resources that we can reinvest into our program, certainly football with the momentum that's underway. So can't wait to get going. All that said, we've got a really exciting team. Coaches have recruited their tails off, retaining key talent. Almost everybody in the two deep is back, adding in some great pieces where we have depth in ways that maybe we didn't have last year. There's high-end talent on the roster. But I think what's most exciting based on what I've seen and talking to the coaching staff is that there's a hunger and a will to win and a togetherness that's been brewing in the program that's pretty exciting.
That cohesion's so special and now becoming so rare in the sport as well, and this team certainly has that. You know, you mentioned that word progression, and obviously it matters in between the white lines, but matters in the seats as well.
Yeah.
And in keeping that energy, continuing to activate the valley, if you will. I know there's been some, exciting ideas to try to get butts in the seats specifically on Saturday, but all year long within season ticket holders and everything like that as well. Innovative ideas, if you will. And I think those are really awesome ideas that have spread on social media.
Well, we've talked a lot about obsessing over the people who obsess over us. And that means our fans, that means our partners, our donors, our alumni, the valley as a whole. And so, I don't think you can build a fan base if you're not receptive to feedback and progression on game day and fan experience as well. And so I thought we did as much as we could last summer with a quick turnaround, right? We got the athletic department turned over maybe first part of June, and then you look up and football's right out the gate. And so try to do as much as we could last year, but admittedly first year in the seat and learning as we go. And this year we have the benefit of perspective. We've had the benefit of a runway to really plan and put things in motion. And so, a lot of exciting changes going into the start of season. We've got a brand new concessionaire, Aramark. I said this a lot. I think food is the experience anchor. the best way to
I would
somebody's
agree.
heart is through their stomach. And so we want entertaining sports when fans come to ASU, but we also want to give them a good show while they're in our stadiums and arenas. And so Aramark has come in and totally transformed our food and beverage experience. And that's not just the clubs and the suites, that's the concession stands. And we've really focused on price points, better menus, easier to get in and out of your seat, so self-checkout, grab-and-go stations, et cetera. And so I'm excited for fans to be in Mountain America Stadium on Saturday and see the progression and see the changes and see that attention to detail that we want to keep building on. And then really that call to action that we put out of, if you have a ticket, use it. And if you're not going to use it, get it to a Sun Devil fan who will, because the energy in the stadium is so important. And we saw that last year where we were undefeated at home. And a big reason was we had a great team, we had a great coaching staff that led these young men, but the atmosphere in the stadium was so electric and it was so exciting, and really taking a page forward or step forward as a fan base where people were in their seats at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And that fourth quarter is so critical. And when you go from third quarter, we play that hype video, you get in the fourth quarter, and all these close games last year that were decided by a score, we happen to be on the right side of that ledger. And I give a lot of credit to our fans for sticking with the game, adding that energy. And I've talked about it a lot, but that Kansas game where we're down a score, 4 minutes left, and the stadium's buzzing, and the student section's still rocking, and coach goes to Sam and says, hey, go win us this game, and he did it.
Yeah.
And he fed off the energy in the stadium, and that just grew from, that UCF game that was really close and exciting, the BYU game, which was magical, the Utah game, which was another really exciting ending. So a lot of credit to our fans, and I think the best way to build a fan base is to have sports that compete and play a fun brand of their sport, whatever that is, and then we've got to be building a better game day alongside. And when those things come together, I think we're starting to see the benefit of that focus, and we don't want that work to ever be done.
And if it's a close game, sure, it's easy to stay, but even if it's not, I think it's important to remember the feeling we have right now. There's 7 days a year where we get to watch Sun Devil football at home, or 7 games this year, sometimes only 6. So stay regardless. It doesn't matter what the score is. We got to treasure these moments.
Well, we're growing together.
Yeah.
We're growing as the Sun Devil Nation. We're still growing as a valley. There's 1 million people new to the area in the last decade, and that's so important for us to build this fan base and have people that are new to the valley find a way to connect to the Sun Devils. And we've been together with a lot of our corporate partners, a lot of our season ticket holders lately, and that's been the ask. Is if you're having a good time touching our programs and being around our moments, well, you're in recruiting with us. And so go find friends, go find people in your community that you can bring in this conversation, because we feed off the energy. We need the resources to continue to feed into all of our programs. And again, we're not where we want to be. This is a progression, but this is a focused effort on building support and resources that allow us to connect and invest into our 600 athletes and these moments that we're creating together.
11th ranked football gets going on Saturday. Now let's turn it to the team that is about to start practicing behind us, and kind of the focus of the show today, at least in terms of the interviews as well. That's number 13, ASU Volleyball, another defending Big 12 champion who will get their regular season going in a big way, coming up against the number 2 team in the country, the number 3 team in the country in Penn State and Pitt. We'll talk to JJ Van Niel later on in the program, but just the national exposure, right? We're going to ask Coach about this as well, but to start it off playing on Fox and FS1, national spotlight, taking on a couple of really great programs, of course, it shows where this Sun Devil volleyball program is heading, and really already is. Yeah,
it's been a rocket ship for us. And the day, I remember when Coach Van Niel was here for his interview, and he's slinged up, and it's the holiday time, and he really did a great job laying out his vision for what the program could be and how he saw a pathway to having success here at ASU in volleyball, and he's done it. I mean, his first 2 years are incredible. I don't think he has 10 losses combined in his 2 seasons, and he's got 2 Coach of the Years. Last year, the Big 12 championship, hosting the NCAA regional for the first time in, I think, 30 years. And so this is another really important sport for us, not only commercially, and we're seeing this incredible attendance here in volleyball, but also there's such a great presence of local volleyball talent in the Valley. And there's so many little girls that grow up playing the sport, and now we're building the kind of program that they're paying attention to. And this year's roster has got the most Arizonans on it since I've been here, and that's been a concerted effort of owning our backyard, and for the coaching staff to really develop these great relationships through the club volleyball community and be visible at a lot of these tournaments and events that happen all over town. And so the national attention is coming in different ways, and obviously football has got us on the map in ways that are really exciting, but volleyball is a sport when you look up at a national level and ABC's got the national championship on a Sunday, NFL day. A lot of these TV networks, you talked about our trip to Pennsylvania this weekend. We're going to be on Fox and FS1 playing against Penn State and Pitt. Really exciting challenge out the gate.
Sure.
I always respect our coaches that want to have that demanding non-conference schedule, and really let's get that early baseline of where we are as a team and use that to get better. We saw that last year with the road trip to Nebraska.
Sure.
And getting a chance to see a blue blood in the sport, and then come away from that where we played hard but we weren't quite ready, but the team got better because of that experience. And I think independent of what happens this weekend, win or loss, there's benefit of putting yourself in that challenging environment and learning about a team, learning about the roles, and learning about what our coaches really need to kind of get ready as we get into the Big 12 season later in the fall. But anyhow, volleyball has been exciting for us. We're so fired up to get underway. You know, we're trying to get more home games and non-conference because the fan attention has been so incredible. I think we're playing all of our games here at Desert Financial Arena this year, so having the TerraFlex floor here in the building is great. I think that the atmosphere in this building is so good, certainly for volleyball, where the fans are right on top of the court. And as we have so many ASU fans here, creating that home court advantage is a big part of what we're doing as well. So I'm rambling, but I'm excited because there's so much good going on in our volleyball program, and you know, credit to our coaching staff for really building an exciting roster. I think all of our starters turned over year over year.
Yes.
And when you got a defending Big 12 champ and now you're looking out and there's 6 new starters on the floor when we get going, it's a testament to the kind of talent that they've been able to find and plug into this program.
I'm still pretty new, but I don't think there's such thing as rambling when your name is on the show. This is your forum, Graham.
Okay.
Ambitious but attainable goals in terms of attendance as well, and I know you said that, but you know the Valley is certainly a really great hub, like you had mentioned, with volleyball talent, and they're starting to wrap their arms around this program. It's been really cool to see.
Yep.
One more segment, or a couple more before we send you off to break. Let's talk Sun Devil soccer. Graham Winkworth's squad, they, speaking of challenging schedules off the top, a trip to Texas to take on the Longhorns. It was a 1-1 draw. ASU scored in the first minute. Couldn't quite close it out, but still a nice result on the road, and then a drubbing of Texas State. They've started off well. They're finally going to be home this weekend. One more road matchup before they eventually open up against New Mexico State on Sunday, 7 p.m., their second home game, I should say, of the year. And a nice early return for the soccer squad in a year 2 of the Big 12, where they're trying to move up the standings as well.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Coach Winkworth and his coaches. I mean, we had a really interesting season last year. There was a lot of moments that happened early in the year that just, I think, were distractions for the team and really kind of took their eyes off the prize. And then again, you're going in a new conference, and for as many of our sports that had success out the gate, there were other ones that had to acclimate into what this new alignment and new environment was going to be like. And I give Coach Winkworth a lot of credit because his attitude never wavered. And there was a lot of adversity last season that he kept his focus on building and leading at the highest level, and really was eager to turn the page on that season and get after it. And I think the day after they got back from Kansas City and the Big 12 tournament, he was hard at work, working the recruiting network, making sure that he could kind of plug in the pieces of his roster. And you know, we've added over 200 scholarships throughout the department. And as we're on the other side of the House settlement and all the rules that have changed, we're continuing to focus on NIL and building that support at a local and national level. We're relevant in rev share, and a handful of our sports are benefiting from that. But every sport got the benefit of increased scholarships. And soccer was one that got a considerable amount added to it. And it was amazing for the first game of the year last week when we got underway to see the improvement in athleticism and physicality on the soccer roster, and we're seeing that play out. And so getting out the gate with the home game against Nevada, going on the road against Texas with scoring, I think, within the first minute, and then that drubbing at Texas State, who's a good program in the Sun Belt. I'm really excited 3 games in about just the heartbeat of this team and the quality of player that's on the roster. And if that's any indication of what adding scholarships to all of our sports is going to do for the level of talent and the quality of the roster that we have, I'm really excited to see how that kind of permeates throughout the rest of the year.
A shout out to Sierra Bergen, a brace at Texas State, hot, humid, muggy San Marcos on a Sunday afternoon. A couple of goals against the Bobcats. That was a great performance. So, yeah, great stuff all around. Like you said, that soccer team should be a lot of fun to watch, and a couple more matches this week, including Sunday at home. One more thing before we send you off to break. Got to shout out our buddy Tim Healy.
Yes.
Some updates to the Healy highlights. So 28 great moments from 28 storied year as the voice of the Sun Devils, starting year 28 on Saturday with the football game, of course. But check that out on the SunDevils.com. 3 recent additions, as I'm sure all of you could guess probably what games they come from, but still take a look at that. Really cool to see the Healy highlights, so catchy as well.
Yes, it's interesting because now I feel like I'm getting older when I've been there for a lot of those 28 moments. So I remember a time where he was doing it, I'm like, oh, okay, I've heard about that or read about that, and now I'm like, I was there. So Mother Nature is happening.
Well, same. We were just talking about that off air, but we're not going to mention what we were talking about. JJ Van Niel, head coach of Sun Devil Volleyball, will join us in this chair when we come back to preview the big road trip and the start of the season for Sun Devil Volleyball. We welcome you back inside Desert Financial Arena. Sun Devil Extras. We're joined by our first guest of the athletic school year, so quite the honor. JJ Van Niel, the volleyball head coach here at ASU, joins us, entering his third year at the helm. And boy, what a great start to the tenure it's been. Coach, the last time we talked to you was right after the extension was signed to keep you here in Tempe until 2029. So how have you been? How was your summer?
Busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer for volleyball coaches isn't really summer. It's,
no
it's recruiting.
It's
you do a lot of recruiting during that time, and then of course you get your prep for your season. But it was good. It was a good summer.
In terms of this group, plenty of new faces. You had to attack the portal and bring in some talented freshmen as well. How's this new group looking before we get the season going?
It's good. This is it's been a fun challenge for my staff and I. As most people probably know, 100% of our starting lineup graduated, which I've never experienced in my years of college volleyball. So I think it's a fun new challenge, figuring out the right systems for the kids, and then watching some people really flourish and step up. So it's been really fun.
You just mentioned that challenge, and it is a staff-wide challenge. You can't, it's not just this guy, although he is phenomenal. In terms of recruiting, you look at, I think of Moneyball, right?
Yeah.
When the roster is bare and you got to try to find a roster. Luckily, you guys have a nice reputation now of being a winning program over the last 2 years. But in terms of trying to assemble a roster, take fans behind closed doors. What was that process like?
You're kind of looking at depth charts and figuring out places that you've got to bolster your roster. We knew we had to probably bring in a couple outside hitters, which we were able to do. We wanted to bring in one more opposite, and we needed some depth at the libero position, and then we had to get one more setter because Brim was the only one on our roster. So, you just kind of set your priorities and go out and start talking to people. And I feel like we did a pretty good job getting some kids that, for us, part of that process is just the culture, and are they going to fit into what we do here and what we're passionate about. And I think we found a really good group. It's a really fun group to be around.
In terms of recruiting and coming off of a Big 12 championship and even the success in year one back in Pac-12, have you noticed a difference in terms of when you're recruiting now, just having that hardware, I guess, to back you up, try to bolster things up?
We're definitely in conversations that my first year here we were not in. The first year, a lot of people don't know it, but when I walked in the door, we only had 9 kids on the roster. Half the team had left, and that year was very difficult in the portal. We were very fortunate. We got Mary Schroll. We were able to finally get Shania. It took a while, but we got Shania. And obviously she ended up helping us a lot last year, maybe not as much the first year. Estella came over, but it was a challenge. A lot of people didn't return calls, and now we're getting more kids that'll at least return a phone call.
Part of building a program, of course, is winning and being on a national stage, and that winning will breed a national stage into the next year, and that's exactly how you guys are starting this season, taking on Penn State and Pitt. A couple of blue bloods in the sport, but you're going to be on national TV in both of those, on Fox and FS1. I know that's a really exciting thing. Graham and I were just talking about in his first segment, but to kick off against the best of the best, it's like when you played Nebraska last year in non-con, and I know you kind of circled back to that as the year went on. It's kind of a point to see where you guys were at. Obviously, very early in the year might be a little bit different with so many new faces, but still a really exciting opportunity, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we're excited. When that opportunity came up, it was pretty much a no-brainer. I knew we were going to have a new team. I knew it might be a little ugly because it's the first matches out of the gate. We're going to play UNI first, which would be nice. We get a little bit under our belt, but I think it's really good to be on national TV, and honestly, it just shows where we've been able to bring our program because 2 years ago, I definitely was not getting the invite to that tournament. Fox called me right away, and we were really excited to make it work.
In terms of the growth of this program, there's been buzz in this building, especially last year. Like reading an article that dropped a couple of days ago on SunDevils.com, specifically was talking about the U of A match last year. It was close,
so
late.
fun.
Yeah, look at the smile, right?
Yeah.
The smile that pops up on your face, and I think everyone on the team last year, coaching staff as well, it was magical. And I know there are some ambitious goals for attendance, trying to average 5,000 per match this year, but they seem attainable as well. Want to be towards the top of the country in attendance. How important is that? I mean, it seems obvious, but to have that fan base behind you.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a message that I've had since day one when I took this opportunity. We're in Tempe. It's an awesome town to be in. It's like a college town, but you're still in Phoenix, fifth largest city in the country. There's tons of things to do. So from a recruiting standpoint, it's great when kids come out here. I mean, Noemi was a great example. I mean, when I first tried to talk to Noemi, it was like, I have no interest in going to Tempe. I hate it there. And we're like, well, you've never really been here, aside from playing.
Sure.
And then she was here, and it was like, done deal. We took her out, and she kind of saw what we had to offer. But going into that, we've got this great city where I feel like there's a lot of good youth volleyball here. There's a huge student population, and we feel like if we can invest in marketing and put up a good product, which we've had a really fun product the last couple of years, then the rest will happen. And I think the first 2 years we broke a ton of records attendance-wise, revenue-wise, everything, and so that's what we're going to continue to push. And I've been really fortunate. Graham, he's been all in on volleyball, and we have someone in marketing who's killing it. Jason has put together a really nice plan for this year. I think last year when he kind of came over and it was like right when our season started, and he tried to get it going as fast as possible. But this year, back in the spring, we were talking about our plans. So I'm really excited to see how we do this year with attendance.
I think this sport more than any other maybe is prepared to be popular in this day and age where things need to be now. You want action all the time.
Yep.
There isn't a better sport than volleyball of that. And if you haven't been out to a match before, they are wildly entertaining. Of course, winning helps, yes. but regardless, I mean, it's great entertainment. You're in and out of here in a couple of hours most of the time. And so certainly it is a lot of fun to watch. Top 15 in attendance last year. Looking for more this year.
Absolutely. And I feel like we've got the momentum. We're investing in marketing. I know our players are talking to everyone about it. And, for anyone who's watching or listening, come to a game. And I've yet to have someone that had never been to a game that saw it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is really, really fun.
Yeah.
It's nonstop action, and, we put a good product out there. So it's fun.
Ella Lamiagora is someone we're going to be talking to in a moment, and in terms of Arizona talent coming home, there's a lot of Arizona kids on this roster, and you just alluded to it, it's a volleyball-rich state.
Yep.
In terms of having someone like Ella, but really just local kids in general, whether they're out of high school or coming back home through the portal, seems like that's something you guys are really trying to focus on. How big is that in terms of continuing to build the foundation of this program?
Yeah, I mean, I love it when our Arizona kids are announced. I mean, you hear it as soon as they're announced, the crowd, it's a little higher decibel. I mean, Mary Schroll last year was the loudest one people cheered for. She's a local Arizona that was highly decorated. And I remember when we signed her, I think I got more texts when we signed Mary Schroll than when I got this head job, which maybe says more about me. But it was pretty cool to see. And I think this community is very passionate about the hometown. So when you get those kids, I mean, even at our our maroon and gold, when Ella's name was announced, I mean, the crowd was going crazy. But Ella and Piper and Bailey, I mean, we have kids coming, and we'll always try to bring those kids home. And so it's fun. It's fun.
Northern Iowa, Pitt, Penn State on the road. They'll be home September 5th against FGCU to get the home non-conference schedule going. You ready to go? You wish you had more practice days, or were you ready to go?
Of course, yeah. We've had a couple of injuries, but we're ready to go.
I think if I ask Ella, she's ready to go.
I'm sure.
Coaches always want more practice days, but that makes a lot of sense. Coach, congratulations on the success of the first 2 years. Good luck into year 3, and hopefully we'll get you back on the show to talk about it as the year goes on.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll be back to chat with Ella and the Sun Devil volleyball team when we return. Continuing on with the volleyball theme as the season gets going this weekend, we welcome you back to Desert Financial Arena. Braiden Bell alongside Ella Lamiagora, a junior on the Sun Devil volleyball squad, a transfer from Long Beach State, which we'll touch on in a moment. But first off, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the start of this season. You're really out of the gates against some of the best, Penn State and Pitt. And when you come to a nationally ranked program like ASU, a defending conference champion, I'd imagine this is exciting for you and for your teammates, but how excited are you guys to take on some of the best of the best?
I think we're honestly just like through the roof to just be able to play against like some of the top teams in the country right now, and to hit it off the gate and just put all like the training that we just went through with double days and preseason and spring. We had so many new kids like join, like me included, and just like seeing everybody mesh together. We saw in the scrimmage how we all came together, but I think we're just so stoked. So yeah.
We were just talking with JJ in the last segment, ending it talking about how he wishes you guys had more practice. I guess that you're just ready to start playing. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're ready to play against other people like, besides ourselves.
So your journey to Tempe, or back to Tempe, Corona del Sol High School, of course, very popular around these parts. But 2 years at Long Beach State, playing in Southern California, you hit the transfer portal.
Yeah.
What was it about this program, other than it, being your home base, that made you want to wear the maroon and gold and the pitchfork?
Yeah. Well, besides obviously growing up here, I just took into account, I was always keeping track of ASU like throughout my whole collegiate career, and I was just amazed with how JJ just like took the program around the leg, and he was just so intentional with like building everything up, and I just see all the hard work that he and the coaching staff put in, and the girls, like you go and watch and you can just feel the electricity. Like everybody is just so electric and doing their best to just compete and leaving everything on the court, and that just kind of dragged me to be back here, to be in that competitive environment.
I probably shouldn't admit this, but I think JJ is one of my favorite coaches to talk to. He's such a great guy to talk to. The conversations, you can tell he's really thinking about what he's saying. He's intentional in that respect. I'm curious, when you guys first connected, when he's recruiting you here to Tempe, what was that initial conversation like?
A lot of logistics, a lot of numbers. He knows his numbers and he knows it well, and I think that allows us to trust him and trust what he's saying, and it just backs him up a little bit more besides all the knowledge and the IQ that he has. So yeah, but.
In terms of the attendance, we were, again, talking about this with JJ, but for a player, that's what you live for, I'm sure, is playing in front of big crowds. And someone that grew up here where, let's face it, it wasn't really a thing, right? It wasn't a huge deal.
No.
ASU volleyball wasn't, but now top 15 in the country in attendance last year, looking for maybe even top 5 this year, trying to run those numbers up.
Yeah.
How cool is it for you just to know how big Sun Devil volleyball is getting and going to continue to grow to be?
I think it gives us a lot of confidence to just know that we have that backing. Our community engagement, I feel like, is just something that we definitely harp on a lot, and I think it's nice and it's refreshing to look in the stands and you see so many people that, like me personally, that I just know and I grew up with and grew up around, and all like the young kids from my middle school and like high school, and like these girls that look up to me, and I feel like all the girls can feel it. Like these girls are seriously, they want to be us, they want to like look like us, and just having that like support and from their parents and everybody else is just incredible.
What's that like for you? Because I think sometimes that gets lost in the sauce of being a student athlete. Like you're still having to handle so many things, but then you're also absolutely a role model.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever stop and think about that?
It gives me a lot of gratitude. I feel like it makes me wear the jersey with just a different level of pride, and I think that it just allows me to take in the moment and be present a little bit more and truly just enjoy like the sport and being on the court here. So yeah.
And those little girls that you talked about that are watching you now, they're going to grow up and play volleyball, club volleyball, high school volleyball in the state of Arizona. And I know you're probably biased on this, but it's a really good volleyball state. A lot of talent. So what would you say in terms of maybe it being overlooked on the national scale, but the state of Arizona and youth volleyball specifically, how good is it?
It's so good. I know that like Arizona Storm, Arizona Rev, Arizona Sky, like there are Aspire, like all of them are truly like, all their players are getting recognized at the national level, and I feel like it's just going to continue to grow as we continue to grow our program as well and continue to make an impact. So yeah.
Ella Lamiagora joining us here on the program as a middle blocker in this system specifically, where the last 2 years have been known for speed, right? It is a quick system. How has that transition been like for you coming into this system with Coach Van Niel and this winning culture he's created, trying to find your own space inside of this in this program?
It's definitely fast, and I think that was the biggest change that I had to deal with. I think the whole spring season, I didn't hit many balls. It was just a bunch of tipping, a bunch of whips, but I think just trusting the process. He's always honest about just trying it and putting yourself out there, being comfortable with all the change, but like it's gonna come, and I feel like it's showing already, so just trusting the process. The
maroon and gold scrimmage is done. And now, obviously, like we said, open the season back east against some powerhouses as well as northern Iowa as well, I should say. Back at home against FGCU next Friday will be the home opener. We can talk about FGCU, but let's also, for the sake of this question, let's say U of A match. When we know it's going to be really crowded in here, how special is that going to be for you? In front of friends, in front of family, in front of Sun Devil Nation?
I think it's just going to take me a moment when I get out here. I'm going to be doing a lot of visualization, a lot of prepping mentally, but truly just taking in all the lights, all the people, all like my surroundings, my teammate, and just constantly giving back to them. That's going to be important for me, and everybody just stay grounded when all of that's happening.
Seems as though a dream come true to be playing back at ASU. I know your sister went to school here, your older sister, and then your family obviously close by, Corona del Sol. Seems like a dream come true to play here at ASU. Would you say like you would have dreamed about this growing up?
Yes, I dreamed about it. I think I came to so many games when I was younger. I was constantly in the stands. I was walking around and hustling, like trying to catch the balls in the stands. And even though I was a little scared of Sparky and mascots, but I think that I've gotten over that.
Okay, good.
Yes, but I'm just really humbled and grateful for the opportunity to be back home.
It's awesome to have you here,
Yeah.
and you know, I think having Arizona talent on the volleyball squad or any of the rosters around campus, it's really special. The fan base rallies around you guys, and I think that's awesome. Ella Lamiagora joining us on the program. Back to the East Coast this week for the openers against a couple of Blue Bloods. Home on next Friday against FGCU, and then from there through the rest of the season will be a lot of fun to watch. Good luck this year.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll be back to wrap things up with Graham Rossini when we return. Back here to wrap things up on Sun Devil Extra, joined again by Graham Rossini, and certainly great stuff with Sun Devil Volleyball. Thanks to Coach for joining us today, and certainly a fun start to the year all around. And there was a fun event going on Saturday, I believe it was, an important tradition. I know that's kind of been a saying that's been reverberating around traditions matter.
Oh, yeah.
In painting the A white before the start of the season for first-year Sun Devils, it is a very cool tradition. It becomes gold again, of course, the day of the first football game. But yourself, your son Rhett, Molly Miller, head coach of the women's basketball team out there. Tell us a little bit about that. It looked pretty awesome for you guys to be up there.
Yeah, it was. Coach Miller volunteered for it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked her to be the Grand Marshal of Echo from the Buttes, and so she said yes. And what a breath of fresh air she's been joining our women's basketball program. And a lot of people were like, man, Coach is everywhere. We see her all over. And so I'm excited for her to get on the show at some point in the near future and let her personality come through. She's got a really specific vision for her program. But in the meantime, she's focused on building a fan base for her basketball program. And so she was there. I think 8 of her team members volunteered to join her, which was pretty cool. And that's a roster that had a lot of turnover with the coaching change. And so, yeah, I do think traditions matter. And
Absolutely.
Our fight song matters. And Echo from the Buttes matters. And all these different things that are so unique to the ASU pageantry and such a special part of college sports. And so, easy thing. Yeah, our 6-year-old Rhett was game to do it. He was the first one up the mountain. Him and Molly had a friendly competition there. That was good to see. There's some fun pictures that we'll probably be able to mix in. Sean will do his post-production magic. But it was neat, and it was fun. After we went up to paint the A, the basketball team wanted to go to the top of the mountain, which is not that far away. And so they got up there and had that incredible view, that 360 view of the valley, where you've got Camelback, Tempe Town Lake, Four Peaks, the McDowells, the airport, and waving at planes taking off. And then you look at kind of the Tempe campus and everything that it's grown into. And it's remarkable every time you get that vantage point. I remember when Manzanita and the Life Science Tower were the 2 tallest buildings in Tempe.
Wow.
And now you look around and it's such a cool place to be every single day. But yeah, fun tradition, and really grateful that Coach carved out her Saturday morning. I think that Friday night she was at the volleyball maroon and gold scrimmage. She
Yeah.
went to the Phoenix Mercury game, was up early Saturday morning for Echo from the Buttes. And then later that night, we had an event at 100 Mile Brewery as well. So she's everywhere, but she's been an incredible teammate, and happy to introduce her to the ASU way.
Infectious energy, certainly, with Coach Miller, and like you said, she has been everywhere. I think Sun Devil Nation is loving having her around, without a doubt. You mentioned this in the first segment, and I realized we hadn't really talked about it, considering we had a few months off with the off season. But the house settlement, of course, you know, that has made so many storylines, I should say, in terms
Yeah.
of the changes, especially here at ASU and to other P4s. But you know, for fans that might not be fully familiar with how that is impacting things, how that has changed specifically ASU, and what we're able to do now when we were talking about specifically soccer, but every other program. You know, elaborate for fans a bit in terms of what that brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, pretty monumental change for college sports as we know it. And we've spent a lot of the last 2 years discussing and debating, and the conferences have been negotiating the settlement that's thankfully now across the finish line. And I think the 3 best ways to describe it is it just clarifies the landscape where there's one way of operating moving forward throughout Division I NCAA sports. And it puts us in a very advantageous position as we move forward, because there are guardrails, there is kind of a national standard in many ways, but in its simplest form, 3 things have changed. One is the institution can now make payments to an athlete, so there's not donor-funded pay-for-play. Basically, the university is licensing the athletes' NIL, involving them in season ticket campaigns, fundraising moments, whatever the things that we want to promote, and they get compensation in return for athletic participation. And so that's an $18 million line item added to our budget, significant revenue that we've had to create, and an investment that we're making to be relevant at the highest level, and we're a full participant there. The other thing that happened is NIL, name, image, and likeness, is now very heavily regulated. And it's got to have 2 things. There's got to be a true business purpose for it, so an athlete has to do something, a material act in support of a business, product, or service, and they're going to get paid a range of compensation that would reflect fair market value. So it's a classic endorsement deal. There's a clearinghouse that Deloitte is involved in. That's a really important point, that you've got a national firm like Deloitte that's involved in the standards. There's the creation of the new College Sports Commission, which is separate from the NCAA, to make sure that there are guardrails and governance in place, and there's accountability for people that try to circumvent the revenue cap of that 18 million, or trying to use NIL as a way to get additional money to an athlete without them performing the traditional business service. And those are good things, and we still need more. We still need organic NIL. I think we're in a really advantageous position in a place like Phoenix, where you've got big businesses and small businesses and everything in between. And so, you know, Coach Dillingham said this a lot: if you're a company that has $1,000 and you want to invest in Raleek Brown, well, hey, we can help coordinate that and make sure that they understand that there's tremendous value in an ASU football player promoting a local business or product. And then there's a national company like Powerade that's picked Sam Levitt to be the face of an ad campaign. And so we need more, and we're going to be fully relevant and a participant in the rev share. We've been doing that going into this year, but we've got this really exciting opportunity to continue to feed NIL in a way that puts us in a major market, separating from a lot of the teams that we're competing against. So, you know, 1, rev share; 2, NIL. The third one, which is also really exciting, is that now these historical scholarship limits have turned into roster caps. And so every roster across Division I has a defined number of athletes. Football is now 105, baseball is 34, softball is, I think, 25. And so each institution can decide how much scholarship we're going to put into that. And so we've added 200 plus scholarships throughout the department, in essence, to let all of our sports benefit. Not all of them will get rev share, only a small amount will, but every sport will get the benefit of having more scholarships. And so football going from 85 to 105, baseball and softball having fully funded scholarships on their roster now, soccer, swim and dive, track and field getting significantly more scholarship. It just allows our coaches to recruit at a higher level. And it's an incredible commitment from Dr. Crow. He's made the scholarships available. 200 scholarships coming to the department is not inexpensive, but he understands the value in protecting our Olympic sports, feeding all of our major sports like football, volleyball, et cetera. And so we're in that situation where we really feel like we can be relevant at a national level, but we got to keep doing more. That's why we got to keep building a fan base. We've got to keep connecting to communities and donors to build the resources that allow us to feed into our programs and do this sustainably. But I think we're on our way, and we're just getting started, but I think we're on solid ground as we continue to build from here.
The community matters, of course. This athletic department is all in. I think those are 2 things that are very obvious in terms of talking about the House settlement and just in general where we're at right now. Exciting news, a couple more things before we go. The Triathlon National Championships return to Tempe. That'll be on November 8th, so we got a little bit of time. Weather will be nice. It'll be beautiful. 7th time hosting, as the triathlon team looks to get the national championship back after they were the runner-up last year. So that'll be very exciting.
The quest for 8 on November 8th. It's kind of in the stars, right?
I started the show strong. He's ending the show strong. I think he's the closer. Very nice stuff there. Last thing before we let you go, Graham, because I know it's very busy getting ready for football game number 1. The Sun Devil for Life of the Week, a very popular segment.
Yes.
Who we got in week 1?
Yeah, several, but the most recent one that comes to mind is Juan Roque, football legend, was a part of the Speak of the Devils podcast that we did Saturday night. Sue hosted at 100 Mile, unbelievable turnout. They had Juan on the show, and it's always good to see him. He's a large human and has a tremendous presence, but he's always got a massive smile on his face. And he's done so much staying connected to our football program, and just really successful person here in the Valley. So always good to see Juan Roque, and glad he was part of the event.
Let me ask you this before we go. How many times have you envisioned / thought of / had sleepless nights thinking about the football team running out of the tunnel from January 1st to now?
Yeah, we think about it every day.
Yeah, right.
And just, you know, putting these guys in a position to have success and have a great time and represent us, and they're playing for the best coaches in America, and we're a few days away from doing that again. And Camp T was awesome. Our Spring Fan Fest was awesome. We know this fan base is fired up and can't wait to get going. And so, forecast is looking good, knock on wood. We got the storm out of the way ahead of the first game, which is, we haven't had that the past couple years. So I can't wait for Saturday, and let's get the season back going.
Sparky's ready to stomp the bus, and the fans I know are ready to go as well. Graham, thanks a lot for coming out. Happy to be back on the program. Next week we'll be able to recap football game number 1 and get into a road matchup before in Mississippi State. So thanks a lot again to JJ Van Niel and the volleyball program for hosting us today. Episode 1 in the books. Have fun, stay safe, make sure you're there on Saturday. We'll talk to you again next week.